Right, we should be going live to the VOD, so hello, how is everybody doing? Apparently the microphone levels are way up today, which is weird. But yeah, hi, how is everybody? Let me just check. Yeah, Yeti Nano, that is correct. Well, there you go. Hello, how is everybody doing? I am off for one today, so yeah. Hello, Jay, if you're still here. I mean, you were only here 2 minutes ago, so I assume you are. But yeah, hello. How is everybody? How's things? How's life? How's, I don't know, life, the universe, and everything? Yeah. For those of you who are early here, so last week, so for context, I have a mountain bike. I like doing street trials riding on it, and I generally go out relatively late in the evening to go ride. Yeah, so I did that right after stream, and so I broke my wrist. It hurt quite a lot. It's actually not broken too badly, but it is broken and I can't use it. I can still wiggle the fingers, and when it's out of the brace, I can now hold a mouse, although I can only hold like the super angled mouse of the Logitech. But otherwise, yeah, no gaming for me. I managed to squeeze in a game of Rocket League because it's quite easy to like hold the controller in a nice easy, relaxing wrist position. So yeah, that was great. But yeah, there you go for you folks early. Harry, I was on my mountain bike, and it was actually directly after stream. I go out on my mountain bike and do street trials riding, so jumping around up on the back wheel, up on the front wheel. I went up on the front wheel and went a bit too far forward and went over the handlebars, and I think what happened was I basically punched the ground with an open hand, like the bottom of my palm punched the ground as I went to catch myself, and I cracked the sides of both of the bones in my arm. Jay, what do you think of Intel 10th Gen so far? So I actually have a 10th Gen motherboard, which actually, let me go grab that, because why not, right? 2 secs. Got it. They were asking if I was asking if I can do an unboxing of this today, and I said no, and then I remembered that I have a live stream, so there you go. I don't have a CPU for it yet. That's fun. I don't think I'm getting one from Intel. I think I'm getting one from MSI. Hopefully I'll get one from Gigabyte, hopefully. Although I kind of have to ask. How much Pringles? I was actually waiting for people to mention those. It's kind of a meme. I just haven't put them in the bin for like 6 months. Craig, I am okay. I can't use a mouse properly. I can't play video games. Haven't for the last week, so that's great. And yeah, life. But so Jay, to answer your question, what I think of Intel 10th Gen. So I was actually on the briefing call on Tuesday. Kind of interesting. So the way briefing calls normally work is you have a America's briefing call, an EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then like an Asia, Australia, separate calls. For some reason, Intel decided to do a EMEA and Americas, so basically only Asia wasn't on the list. So people like Ian Cutcher from Anantech Also Steve from Gamers Nexus, and 230 other tech press were on the call, which was quite kind of fun. There was quite a few things on that call that, boy, that was interesting. So Intel actually claimed that 60% of games are single core optimized. They later and very immediately retracted said statement, despite the slides being leaked before Intel even sent me them. So yeah, awesome. In terms of the chips themselves, I do not have one, and therefore I cannot break NDA by telling you performance because I don't know. But from what Intel is claiming, it looks like they've stuck 2 more cores to a 9900K and are selling it for surprisingly the same money. That's weird for Intel. But yeah, they claim that it's the world's fastest gaming CPU, and sure, it might be at 1080p with a 2080 Ti and certain titles, and they've set it to draw 250 watts in their like their maximum boost state. Cool, but the 3900X is cheaper by almost $100, draws 140 watts at peak, and has 2 more cores. And sure, they're slightly slower cores, but it also has PCI Gen 4, and that one doesn't. Which, still, not a selling point, because PCI Gen 4 doesn't really matter, but yeah. How's the stream? Is it okay? Because YouTube is, like, really, like, hating on me. Let me see. Nope, we're not dropping frames on Streamlabs OS, but yeah. Yeah, so like the 10600K, stupid names, is very impressive for its price point. I still think that the 3600X will be a very similar value proposition, if not better. But yeah. Also, hello to the people that I didn't say hello to: Spencer, F7 properly, and Dan, as well as Janizig. Abel, hello. Buying an MSI GS66 for gaming and study. Do you recommend it? So I've not had a non-engineering sample GS66 in yet. I'm actually getting one in the next week or two, I think. And so I will have a full video on it at some point reasonably soon. With that said, it's definitely not a bad laptop, just to make that clear. I do suspect that it's going to be a fairly both expensive and hot running beast. I think the 2080 Super model is probably going to be very thermally limited, and you're probably going to want to go with like the 2060 model because you'll probably get very similar FPS and save like $1,000. Otherwise, there are also some other options. In fact, Asus are sending me their G4 or A14, G14, the Zephyrus AMD and RTX 2060 laptop, which looks to be very, very interesting and obviously a lot cheaper than the GS66, although a slightly different market, I suppose. But yeah, long story short, if you're set on the GS66, it doesn't seem to be a bad example, but I don't have one in, like, I haven't had a proper one in for testing. What happened to your arm? I broke my wrist literally last week after stream. I was on my mountain bike and I fell off effectively, and I think what happened was I went to catch myself and I punched the ground with the base of my palm and cracked both edges of the bones in my arm. Radius and ulna, is that right? Something like that. RX 5700 XT or 2070 Super. For the money, the 2070 is more and not that much more performant. With that said, so what I'm trying to say there, it came out the wrong order. The 5700 XT is the best value card pretty much outright for getting sort of good enough performance for a while yet, even at 1440p, and obviously price proposition. Whereas the 2070 Super is obviously a slightly faster card, but it's not a great value for money. That's a very big price jump for not a lot of performance. Obviously, if you need more performance than the 5700 XT, it's the only place you can go. But yeah. Hey, would a 2060 Super and a 2700X do 144 FPS at very high 1080p? Yeah, should do. Like very high to high, probably. But it's 1080p, so yeah. Do we want to unbox this motherboard? It's going to be crackly as all hell because anti-static bags. But you want to see a dead 490 board? 10% faster for 30% more moolah. Yeah, that sounds about right. Hello, Ish. How you doing? All right, let's unbox it then. That was loud. You won't get this if you buy one, but MSI do media sample testing. So actually, I technically can't show you this because it contains performance numbers for the i5. Yeah. So there you go. Crinkle away. There we go. So what have we got? Triple M.2s, which I assume are all... They're probably all... So the bottom two are probably done through the chipset, and then the top one is probably... I mean, they're technically all probably through the chipset, because Intel CPUs still only have 16 lanes for, top two slots. And then you can bifurcate the 16 into 2 8s to get, SLI. But otherwise, basically everything else, your SATAs, your other PCI X1s, sometimes USB headers, even sometimes the stuff in the back, Ethernet and all that jazz, can be done through chipset as well. But yeah, there you go. This is the LGA. Yeah, I shouldn't have used that hand. So it's an LGA 1200 instead of 1151. That means that these are not backwards compatible. If that looks familiar to you, that's because it is. As I understand it, the number of active pins on the new 10th generation sockets is actually exactly the same as last gen, and my understanding is that the extra pins that are in here are because this board, technically speaking, supports PCIe Gen 4 only directly through the any direct attach, like the DMI 3.0 link that's still here is still a PCIe Gen 3 link. So it's still going to be, not great, but as I understand it, and this could change, this could be wrong, there are an extra, 50 pins, 49 pins in this socket expressly to double the number of PCIe pins. Like, not run the pins like not run the PCIe bus faster at Gen 4 speeds. Instead, just like, this seems like the dumbest thing ever, but running 2 Gen 3 lanes so that you can then make the Gen 4 devices that you connect to it have enough bandwidth. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but if that's true, damn, that's dumb. But yeah. So this is the, which one is this? The God, I can't remember now. Ace, there we go. The Z490 Ace from MSI. So 16 phase power. I mean, it's an 8-channel controller, doubled, but yeah. There you go. So to answer M.2's bottlenecked, heavily bottlenecked. You've got a bit of like armor on the back as well. As far as I'm aware, yes-ish, link aggregation of PCIe type thing, like port trunking with networks. Yeah. Maker guy. So I'm still under NDA about the 3100 and 3300s and the B550, I think, until sometime next week. So I, just to be on the safe side, I'm not going to talk about it. Apologies, but I think reviews for those chips come out in a week or two, so you can see. I mean, you can't buy the 3100 right now anyway, as far as I'm aware, so yeah. Can you show what happens when you try and install a Ryzen chip? Only if you send me a broken Ryzen chip. Do you think 240 Hz is worth it or not? Personally, no. I'm on 144. It's fantastic. Much love over 60, but I've used so many 240 and even 300 Hz displays, and I just can't care. Like, if you are a pro like esports player, then yeah, definitely, like, there's no point in not taking that even mild competitive advantage. But for us normies, yeah, probably not. Do you still use your Cloud Key Gen 2 Plus? Yes, it's sat, I don't know, 2 foot from the camera. Ow. How's your quarantine going? Well, this ruined it. I was doing alright actually until I did this. Is it worth having 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM for gaming with a Ryzen 3600? Honestly, no. 16 is fine. I would spend your money on getting 16 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz, 3600 megahertz CL16 if you can. Otherwise, no, not really, unless you're doing like content creation or something like that. Then go 32. That's what I have, but I edit 4K videos daily. So yeah. Christian, hi everyone. I want to get a second 32-inch monitor. Current one is an AOC CQ32G1. Options are the LG 32GK650F or the Aegon AG322 QC4. Any recommendations? Are you looking for a 1080p or a 1440p secondary, or a second monitor? Thoughts on Assassin's Creed Valhalla? So I'm not a massive fan of anything, period. So I didn't really care for the original Assassin's Creeds or Skyrim, anything like that. So I'm removed from the this equation. But feel free to discuss in the comments if you're interested in it. Peter, thoughts on the Samsung 1440p VA 144 Hz monitor. So I haven't tested one myself, so I can't tell you. Odds are they probably use a fairly similar panel, although it's Samsung, so they might use their own. That's possible. But otherwise, I have heard good things about it, certainly. With that said, it's VA, so you'll probably want to check out some reviews from people like TFT Central. For their names are both begin with T, so clearly they're the same thing. So maybe check out his review of that monitor if he has done one, to see especially the panel's response time and ghosting. So yeah. Gluing PCIe lens together, that's so retro AMD. It really is. Oh, how the tides have changed. Nice one. That is a very nice result, let's say, on the overclock and cooling. So you're looking for 1440p, but I'm thinking of making my current one my secondary one. Fair play. So off the top of my head, I don't know that I've tested that many 32-inch 1440p displays. With that said, does AOC do a CU32 G2U G2X, which would be the second generation of the monitor you have? The reason I ask that is that of all of the G2 series monitors from AOC I have reviewed recently, they're all fantastic. Like, they're amazing value for money. They're like the displays themselves aren't the like best that I've ever seen, but for the price they're now selling them at, they are, if that makes sense. So if they do a G2 version of basically the one you already have that's 1440p, that would be my recommendation. Tom, I'm looking at getting a 2070 Super. I think they are $400. Is worth upgrading from a 1660. So if it's a standard 1660, then a 2060 Super is a good performance bump. So, that hurts. So yes, that is a fairly reasonable upgrade. With that said, if you're willing to spend about $400, then an RX 5700 XT I think is a very similar price to that, and you'll get almost 2070. Well, you get 2070 performance, if not 2070 Super performance, for the same money. So maybe have a look at that. Dan, does it have G2 at the sort of towards the end of its name? Ow. No worries, Chris. How's the upgrade going? Oh, I actually haven't had a look at this board yet. I mean, you saw me took it out of the box, so what have we got? So 2 CPU power connectors that actually might be close to being useful on this. I mean, not really, because each connector can handle about 300 watts. But let me move. But it's understood that in the PL2 mode, the 10900K can draw 250 watts. And so you would, in that state, you would probably want to use 2 to sort of load balance that a bit better, rather than the 300 watts that this can handle gets a bit toasty. So yeah. We have 2.5 gigabit LAN, which honestly, the fact that there was 10 gig LAN on the last, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 generations of like £400 motherboards, and now we're only getting 2.5 gig instead, I'm a bit salty about that. Like, there are plenty of motherboards including ones that I have here that are that have 10 gig built in, and yeah, the fact that this only has 2.5 as a selling point. I mean, it's Wi-Fi 6, which is nice, I guess, but yeah. It's not a massive amount of heatsink, but it actually, I don't know if you see that, it's actually a very thin heatsink, which I guess is just because it doesn't need it. Yeah. My guess on the M.2 layouts is they're all probably through the chipset, and or maybe one of them is you have the option of bifurcating the X8 into, or the top X16, which goes directly to the CPU, into maybe two of them. I doubt that, but more than likely it's probably all through the chipset, with, you know, using this one we'll disable this X1 slot and some SATA ports, using this one we'll disable that and some SATA ports, or the bottom, you know, bottom connector, that kind of thing. But I suppose the important thing to mention is it's all still Gen 3, technically speaking anyway. Yeah, I don't understand why people, like, companies do this. These are like the reinforced, the like static protected slots, but like if I like, that's not reinforced. That's a loose bit of metal next to my RAM. Yeah, there you go. Do I have a 10 gig switch? Yes. It's not a proper 10 gig switch. It's a 10 gig switch with two 10 gigs and then 8 1 gigs. But it's managed so you can use it? I don't know. Yeah, I wish. I'm running $20 PCIe cards to 135. Nice, fair. Hello, Remix Nation. How you doing? Miko S. Hi, I've just purchased a 9900K. What motherboard would you recommend for it? I can't seem to decide. It depends on your budget for your board. Obviously, you're looking at a Z390 chipset. There are a number of good options. The ones that I've personally tested that spring to mind are the Gigabytes. So there's the Master, which is the sort of top end, if you like. But there are, like, Aorus Pro, I think, is probably a reasonable option at, like, reasonable price tag. Otherwise, ASRock do some great boards as well. MSI do as well. Asus probably do, although I've had more issues with Asus boards than I have any others, so but yeah. Ba 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 ba. I've just, I assume, sent a picture of my first water-cooled system in Discord. Where did you send it? Ah, in the introduction chat. Oh, damn, that's fancy. Oh, you got the Der Bauer case as well. Nice. That's looking good. The 24-pin power needs reinforcing and a backplate to combat flex. It does. In fact, technically speaking, it does have a backplate, although it's not really reinforced. So, yeah. It's got more RGB connectors, though, because I'm sure we all care. Gigabit boards are out of stock. That's a problem. Fair. What's a good motherboard for 2nd and 3rd gen AMD CPU? So realistically, the best option is the MSI B450 Tomahawk Max. That is a board that supports 4th gen CPUs, 4th gen, 3rd gen CPUs out of the box, and supports 2nd gen as well. But is also possibly the most popular motherboard you can buy. It's the B450 chipset, which is the most sensible option for 99.99% of the world's population, and I think is pretty well built and is fairly cheap for the price. Yeah. No worries, Remix. What was I going to say? Oh, that was interesting. So I think I mentioned a little while ago that I got a cheap tablet in for review. In fact, there's the camera in the chat. Anyway, I got this cheap tablet in for review. It's £125 for an entire freaking tablet. 64 gigs of storage. It's actually technically an 8-core, although it's an 8-core that's terrible. It's an 8-core from 3 years ago. But I'm setting up as a teleprompter, which is great. It's obviously mirrored for the glass, but yeah. So yeah, what's funny though is that the company that sent it to me, in every email she sent me, she said, please do not show the free gift card that comes in the box. Now, the context for that free gift card is that they put a little card in the box that, oh, stream's laggy. Awesome, thank you, YouTube. It's like, how, where are we at? That one. So Streamlabs OBS says I'm not dropping frames, so it's either Restream or YouTube. So wait, Andy doing scripts since when? Like a year and a half ago. Twitch is okay, then it's just YouTube, as always. So yeah, the crux of the gift card is that when you buy the product, they put a wee card in the box that says, you've won a free gift. Just go to the store page and leave us a 5-star review on Amazon, and then tell us that you've done that, and we will send you a £20 Amazon gift voucher, a 64 gig SD card, or a case for your nice new tablet. So yeah, they that's against Amazon's terms of service quite well, and Amazon is quite strict in enforcing it, which is why they asked me not to show it in the video, so I showed it in the video. Oh yeah, I wish they have ish. I'm planning to build a PC which is a Ryzen 3600, a GTX 1660 bottleneck. So it won't bottleneck necessarily, but and like it's not a bad combination. But I think for that kind of price point, you can probably get an RX 550 XT or a 5500 XT or even a 5600 XT possibly. I can't remember. But yeah, uber lag here. Yeah, I'm seeing that myself actually. Apparently Twitch is fine. Also Mac, I'm left-handed. But yeah, apparently Twitch is okay. You don't have to have a Twitch account to watch. You do have a Twitch account to comment, but you could live in a weird world where you pop out the YouTube chat and then open twitch.tv/TechteamGB and then watch it on Twitch and comment on YouTube. That'd be a very weird world, but Ish does it, so it's fine. Yeah, apologies about that, the fact that Twitch seems to be fine means that it's just exclusively a YouTube problem, and I can't really do much about that. So yeah, apologies there. YouTube needs to download more RAM. Is YouTube throttling you? Well, I hope not. I shared a video today and that went up reasonably quickly, so yeah. Changed over to Twitch, no problems now. Awesome. Thank you for following on Twitch as well. Yeah, apologies to the YouTube people who, if you can even still hear me. But yeah. Oh wow, that's like super delayed on YouTube. That's insane. Like I can see the playback window of what's actually going out on stream, and it's like it only just showed me picking up the tablet. Like that's kind of mad. So Remix Nation, I did answer your question, but you probably won't see it for another 10 minutes at the rate that YouTube is going. Yeah, sorry about that. To answer the question again, so that's not a bad build. Maybe take a look at the RX 5500 or 5600 XTs. Thank you, 3D Printing Newbie. If you're on Discord, I think that tier puts you in the Moneyman group if you want access to the more privileged chat. Oh, you're already linked. Awesome. So yeah, you should have access to the Moneyman chat, which is our exclusive group where we just bitch about stuff and share my old trade secrets. Yo, Twitch for the win tonight. Apparently so. Apparently so. Confirmed Andy is possession of the time stone. This is a really pathetic gauntlet. Oh dear. Christ. Ow, that hurts. Oh, so yeah, that's that. Yes, ish it was. Couldn't handle it though, knackered the wrist hold though. Yeah, that's how I broke it. Yeah, that's it. That's what you want your enemies to think. Ultimate power banner. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, that's fantastic. So what I was saying was that yeah, with the tablet, stick around to the end of that video. I think that's out next week. I think you'll enjoy it. I made some funnies. Gigabyte boards out of stock everywhere. You said earlier that's unfortunate. I think maybe take a look at ASRock or MSI. I've just 3D printed a wearable Infinity Gauntlet. Just got to paint it and wire up some LEDs for the stones. Nice. Is that one of your sort of stay-at-home projects to keep you busy, or have you just wanted to do that for a while for cosplay or whatever? Either way, nice. I wish my 3D printer worked. I do, in theory, at some point I will have a God, I've forgotten the name of the company now. It's a resin 3D printer that's like stupid cheap. It's like $200 or something crazy. So I will be testing that out at some point when I can get one in. Oh wow, that's a thing to put in the Moneyman chat. Oh boy, that's, oh wow, wow. Oh dear. Well, I would assume so by your name. or your username. That is, I would assume that's a hobby of yours. But yeah, how's YouTube doing? Is it still freezing every 10 seconds? Random dude, hello. I still have Windows 7 and ready to upgrade to Windows 10, but I don't know if my programs are compatible. Is there a way to check if my programs are compatible? So the short answer is that unless you have a very specific program, normally like legacy style programs that do stuff like the things that I see the most that aren't forwards compatible are things like car diagnostic softwares. But generally speaking, the thing with Windows is you can still run like original MS-DOS applications in command line in Windows 10, like the most recent version. You can still run like Windows 3.1 applications. Sure, stuff breaks sometimes, but the whole thing about Windows is backwards compatibility. So, are there any programs in particular that you are worried about and/or you require continued function? And also, hello, Gaming Fire. How you doing? How's things? How's quarantine? As for my YouTube, like playback, it looks like it's still like buffering to hell, whereas it seems like Twitch is doing just fine. So yeah, thank you, Mickey, for following. With Windows, I find that it worked. As long as it worked on 64-bit versions of Windows, it's probably forwards compatible. Yes, that's the main thing. It's the biggest compatibility issue with Windows has pretty much always been 8 versus 16-bit, 16 versus 32, and 32 versus 64-bit. So yeah, that like if it's a 32-bit or especially if it's a 16-bit program, you might want to be a bit more careful. Although honestly, if it works on Windows 7, Windows 7 is pretty much like you can install a 32-bit version of Windows 7. I'm fairly certain you can still do 32-bit Windows 10 as well. But yeah, still salty about my drivers. You're never going to give that up, are you? Do you need to install apps again once Windows 10 is installed, or is it do the in-place upgrade? So honestly, it depends on what type of upgrade you do. Obviously, if you do a fresh install, it's a fresh install. But if you use the like upgrade to Windows 10 feature program download, whatever, then it should only upgrade the operating system and